Now let's just start all from the beginning. So what we're gonna do in this lecture is we'll just make a payload and we'll just listen on the port on this server or on the Kali Linux, and on the client side you can see we have this MS Edge, which is the virtual box of Windows 10 ready, and we'll just inject that payload from the web server and we'll just run this backdoor and see if it can be detected by this antivirus or not. So first of all, as always, let's go to the Kali Linux, and this is the machine where you have this Veil framework. So it is installed in this opt folder. If you remember from the previous lecture, if I list, there is Veil. So if I just go to the Veil, let me list one more time. In order to run this framework, you'll just do something like this, veil.py. Let's hit enter, then you will have this Veil framework up and running. So next thing what you need to do over here is to make a payload. You have to first use, that is one, because we want this evasion. So I'll just use one. Now let me list all the payload that is available. You could see the 41 payload. We want maybe this payload, which is reverse HTTPS. So I have told you before that this is the naming convention where the payload starts with the programming language that it is made of, and this is a interpreter for the reverse shell, or basically for the connection between the client and the server, and here is the name. So it is basically a reverse HTTPS. That means our client will try to connect to the server, or not that the Kali Linux is going to connect. So basically what happens is, if any server, or basically in my case it is a Kali Linux, so if Kali Linux try to connect directly to the client, then it is not possible because there is a firewall that is not going to give us any connection. So if there is any malicious content you want to transport directly, it is not possible. So if client connects to the server, that is possible, because in that case firewall does not care about, basically it trusts each and every connection that is done by the client. So that is one of the main disadvantage, or basically we can use this payload on any type of machine. So in that case the firewall trusts each and every connection that is done by the client. So in our case the client is Windows. So enough of that, let's make our payload. So I'll just say I want to use the 15 number. Let's see, you can directly see over here some of the options, and we are familiar with this, all of these options. So the menu over here is lhost and the lport. So let's set this lhost to the IP address of this Kali machine. So I'll just say lhost is, I have to confirm first with this ifconfig. So let's go over here and I'll just say ifconfig, and this will give us the IP address. Let's type here 192.168. so I have host, or basically I have set the lhost. Now let's give the port. So I want this 8080, which is used by the web server. So let's enter here, and if you want to see the options, you'll simply type options and you will see that now we have this lhost and lport right here. So next thing what I want to do is set some processors for it. So I'll just say processors and I'll just set to 1. And now if you see the options, and this is our last option. So we have been doing this from the beginning of this Veil framework, so this should not be any confusion for you. So next thing what you need to do is we'll simply say generate, which is going to give us the payload. So it will see what is the name. So I'll just give main reverse shell or main reverse. So this will be our name, or I can also add this is HTTPS. So I'll just say this is the main reverse HTTPS payload, and we are going to inject this to the client. So let's hit enter. Now it will just do all of this encoding technique, and it will just give us now, that is the executable is right over here in this var library veil output compiled in the name of the reverse shell. So let's go to that place. So I'll just navigate from here, and in this case we have to go to the var library and veil, and it is on the output, and it is on the compiled. So here there are so many payloads that we have been doing in the previous lectures, but now in this case it is main reverse HTTPS. So it is right here. So let me copy this first, which is main reverse HTTPS. Now let's put this into our web server. So let's go back to the var, and our web server is inside this www HTML, and I want to just include into this file. So let's paste it down here, and this is our payload in the web server. So next thing what you need to do is run your Apache server. So I have already running Apache server. If you want to run here, then this is the terminal, and basically if you want to run, you have to first type service Apache 2 and start. So this is the way to start your Apache server, and after you just hit enter, Apache server is going to run. If you want to stop the server, you can also do that, is restart the server with this restart command. So in my case I'll just restart. So our Apache server is restarted, and we have this framework, or basically this payload, inside our web server. So let's go now. So before going over there and just downloading that payload, let's listen that, or basically let's listen to the port in here. So let's open the new window or new terminal, and let me just make this real big, and we are going to use MSF console, which will just have this handler, and this handler is responsible for communicating between this Kali Linux and the machine, which in this case is a window. So let it give a time to load, and it is showing that it is the Metasploit framework. So first of all, you have to use that exploit multi-handler, which is the module over here, and let me hit enter. Then now we are inside this multi-handler. So if you want to see the options, you can see directly with this show options, and you can see here that we don't have any payload options, we don't have local host and local port. So what you need to do first is we have to set the payload. So in our case, the payload is going to be executed on the Windows, and it is based on this Meterpreter framework. And after that you have to pass the name here. So in our case it is reverse HTTPS. If you have used reverse HTTP, just type reverse HTTP. If you made the payload which is based on reverse TCP, just type reverse TCP over here. But in our case it is reverse HTTPS. Let me hit enter. So before that I want to show you something. What if we just remove this and just pass a window and hit enter? Then it is going to show us error that this payload is not valid. So you have to just give here the proper name, and after that I'll just hit enter. Now if you see options again, then this is going to give us the payload option now, and you can see the payload right here. We have this YEL host and YEL port now, so we have to now assign here. So I'll just say set and YEL host, which is the Kali machine IP address, and I'll just type it over here. And the next thing is your port, and in this case it will be 8080. Let's make sure that everything is perfect, and you could see now we have this payload option, YEL host, which is this IP address of Kali machine, and you will see that here is 8080. This is the port that Kali machine will listen to for all the incoming connection. So incoming connection can be multiple client, and multiple client can communicate to this Kali machine. So now what you need to do is just type exploit in order to get, or basically in order to execute the handler which will just listen to the incoming connection. So let me just press exploit. Now you could see we have started this reverse handler on this IP address, which is this machine Kali address, and 8080 is the port that this machine is listening to. So now let's go to our window machine here, and let's open, that is this web page of our Kali machine. So in this case it is 192.168.1.12. so this is the Kali IP address. So let me hit enter and wait for a moment. So this is our web page, and we have to navigate inside the file because the file is inside this directory. So I'll just hit enter now. Then you could see all the file over here. So we want this main reverse HTTPS. Let me download it and make sure it is the same, and I'll just say run now. So now it will just give the information. It is nothing, that is, it is also saying that this is not the virus, because if it was the virus then it has been already deleted. But this is a simple message, and this message is given every time you install anything on the Windows. So we'll go to the more info, we'll say run anyway. Now we think we have run this. Let's go back to the Kali machine. You'll see we are now inside this Meterpreter session. That means we can now execute the command of this Meterpreter module. So if I hit enter, you'll see now we are inside this MSH Windows 10. You could see that is Windows 10, and it is 64 gigabyte, or basically 64-bit, not the gigabyte. So it is saying that it is a 64-bit machine, and you can see the Meterpreter version over here. And we have now complete connection between these two machines. So we have got the reverse shell, and now client machine is communicating with the Kali machine, and it is done through this machine. So there is no firewall inside here acting to just block the communication, because the firewall is just accepting that communication, or they are just trusting the communication, because that is the loophole over there, and we just made use of that in order to get the reverse shell and client communicate to the server, or in this case in the Kali machine, and we get whole access to this computer now. So you can now put any command like ls command, or you can also see that is multiple command. We'll see in the next upcoming lecture. So see you in the next one.